valid. A lot of times your opponent won't even show up. But then after you show up, it's that preparation that it takes on a daily basis. What have you done? Did you do your homework? Did you study? Or did you just put that textbook under your pillow and hope by osmosis you get the information?
That's what
Yeah, I used to do that too. I was in 10th grade. But you got to put a plan together. And it all starts with your goals and your purpose. Because if that's truly your goal, you're not going to allow anything to get in your way, anything or anybody. So it's great to be here today, and I appreciate it.
Another thing, as you go through your life and your careers, your formal education will end at some point, but the reality is your education never stops. I know in my position, as president of the Packers, I'm always having to learn. Things are changing in the league, how people compete, what kind of things we're doing to make the fan experience in the stadium better. So you're always trying to improve yourself and improve your organization. So I think a lot of people, and I remember when I was your age thinking, geez, I can't wait to go to school when I'm done with school. Well, you'll be done with school, but you'll never stop learning. And I think the people that go on and have success have an attitude that they always want to continue to learn and better themselves. Well, let's open up for any questions that you have. No such thing as a stupid question. Any question you have for any of our players, current players or retired players. All right, we got one way up top. Well, I tell you, questions, can you have an autograph? Well, we're going to do, after we have a question and answer session, we've got a number of items that we'll be throwing in the audience, t-shirts, hats, and football. All right, other questions? You want to stop here?
That's four. Jordan.
I want to get football.
All right, question. Let's start with Alex. How long did it take you? Talk a little bit about the things that you did. Alex went to junior college, the same one that Aaron Rodgers went to. Then he went to the University of Hawaii. Talk about the kind of things that you had to do to get yourself to the point where you are now.
Going to a junior college, there's definitely a lot of challenges that I faced, especially being diagnosed with dyslexia, and going facing challenges in life, and I faced that challenge, growing up and going to school, but just basically just staying focused, it sounds simple, it sounds plain, but it's really, something that you can really apply and make useful to yourself, but it really helps, staying focused on what's important. I know there's things out there that distract you, the outside stuff, the party, and whatever you guys are into nowadays, I don't know, but those type of things, and those things are not going to go anywhere, but your life and education is, and when you guys carry yourself is going to go a long way as well, just staying focused, and there's always have that pride, that, can't nobody tell you can't do something. I bet you everybody in here has been told they can't do something, whether it's playing sports or, like you said, playing a band or even doing homework. Somebody told you you can't do something, and that's not what's important. Somebody else's opinion is not defining. You guys got to stay focused and keep working hard and not fall into place.
Thank you, Alex. To answer your question, it takes a lot of hard work, and these athletes, you think back, it really probably started for them in grade school, and they worked hard. A lot of them played a lot of different sports, but when they focused on football, in terms of training and all the work that goes into it, it's pretty significant. And then, as Alex said, along the way, you're going to face setbacks, injuries, things that you didn't anticipate, and that's true in any career, any field you're going to choose to go into. It's not going to always go smoothly, and how you react to adversity and obstacles is going to be crucial to having success. Other questions? Yes, this young lady here. All right, when did you decide that you wanted to be a football player? Let's start with Aaron.
Well, I think for me, it probably started to play the game of football started my junior year in high school. Prior to that, when we were playing Pop Warner, I was, let's say I was a little young for my weight class and a little too heavy for my age group. So I didn't necessarily get a chance to play Pop Warner. But by the time high school came around, they didn't have weight and age restrictions. So I started playing my junior year, but it was after my sophomore year in college. I started one year, and at that point, I really, people started to talk that, I had a potential to be a good player, and that's really when I kind of had my mind set as a goal to be able to play in the NFL. Now, I always had that goal to play in the NFL as a young boy. I think anybody that's ever played sports is laid up at night or early in the morning and had that dream and had that fantasy of having an interception in the Super Bowl that can help decide the outcome, or having big returns that break games open, or not giving up a sack and giving the quarterback the extra time, or actually getting a sack. And I had the unfortunate pleasure of blocking Santana every day in practice, and I can assure you he was pretty good at getting after the quarterback. But the reality is, all of us up here are going to be ex-athletes a lot longer than we were ever going to be athletes. And at a very early age, something that my mom helped me to understand is that have a goal to play in the NFL, but you better have a backup plan. Because statistically, 1 in a million players that play organized football with helmets and shoulder pads end up being up here and being able to wear a jersey of a franchise. So my backup plan was to be able to be a college graduate, and that's why I chose to go to Notre Dame, and that's why I followed through in school and then had my grades up. So for a lot of you guys out there that play sports, set your goals like we've talked about, set them high, and be willing to sacrifice and do what's necessary, but also have a backup plan and cover your bases, because the reality is, just like a football season, seasons in our life change, just as it did for mine, and now I'm in broadcasting because that was a secondary goal of mine, and I was able to work and put the action that Santana talked about into place even while I was playing, and that's why setting goals but having a backup plan is also a good idea. Thanks.
There's a question down here. Yeah, right here. Jared, you want to answer that one? Other things that you thought about when you were a high school and college student?
Some of the other goals I had, I was a track athlete, also wrestled. So I thought about going to the Olympics, running track, and I wrestled the 121 weight. So besides football, I'm no skinny there. Both other dudes had good weight. But that was some of the dreams. Of course, it was sports, academics. A lot of people in my family, they had doctorates, so that was kind of like my inspiration. Everybody was going to have doctorate degrees, so I was like, shoot, we going to get this degree. But school wasn't my forte, so I had to work at it. If I got something wrong, I had, saying, go get tutoring, go get help from TA. Especially core problems, math, English was not my forte. So I definitely got a lot of help, but I did my due diligence and I got through it. And I want to continue my academics, get my master's, and continue that. So that's it.
All right, some other questions? Yeah, right there in the orange. Okay. Well, we're going to go to a veteran, right? What is the weirdest thing you've ever had autographed? And no female body parts.
There are some things that people ask you to autograph, but I mean, basically, it's pretty simple. I mean, the weird thing about autograph, I couldn't really say. One of the worst things in the autograph is when they give you a napkin with a ballpoint pen to sign. Because you can't, it's nothing to write on, it's hard stuff. But for the most part, the best thing is when they give you a white football and a black Sharpie. It's the easiest thing to sign, but the weird thing, I don't really, can't remember anything that weird.
Last night, for the first time, we signed drumsticks. There was a drum line in Oshkosh, and it's very hard to sign on a drumstick. I found very thin. The other, every once in a while, people give me golf balls to sign. I don't know why, but it's a lot easier to sign a football than a golf ball. There was a question. There was a woman, right there. All right, let's go start back to Randy. When you were in high school, what was the most difficult thing for you to achieve?
To wake up for school. I'm not gonna lie to you, I might still have sleep right now. No, seriously, getting up, I love to sleep. I'm a pretty boring person. If I'm not playing football, I'm probably asleep. So,
Sounds like you.
Doors, they can be achieved.
The way you can see that, it's called an alarm clock. I'm sure you probably had your mother coming in and waking up a few times as well. Other questions? Oh, yeah, right here. This young man. Good question. Do we feel, now you're asking the wrong people. Question is, do the football players, do you feel they're overpaid? Aaron, you're a broadcaster, you talk about it. Talk a little bit about, the system we have in place in the league and how players are compensated versus, owners and management. I think it's an interesting issue.
Well, it took me a while to figure it out, but as a 40-year-old who wakes up every day when I do get up and has to stretch and do some different things just to keep my body, the reality is, from the player's perspective, is that football and the game of football provides us a lot, but it also costs a lot. We have to pay with that, with our body, with our health, with our well-being. We've seen a lot of issues with CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is kind of the concussion stuff going on. So there is a price to be paid for what it is we do. The other reality is called the free market. You are worth what somebody is willing to pay you, and right now, because of the television dollars, because of you guys being such great fans and buying jerseys and Packer gear and all that stuff, the piece of the pie that the players get is bigger than it was when I was playing, and it's certainly gotten better over the years. So the amount of dollars does seem like a lot, but you guys have to remember, again, from a biased player's perspective, our career is only 3.2 years on average. So the average player, when they get out of college, is going to be out of the NFL at 24, 25 years old. So a lot of that money goes to taxes, a lot of that money ends up disappearing, and that's what I was talking about. We're going to be ex-athletes a lot longer than we're going to be professional athletes, and that's why even us guys up here, we need to have a backup plan and alternative goals besides playing football, because the amount of money that we make playing football is not enough to be able to live the rest of our lives. So at the time, as a player, I always wanted more. Now that I'm out in the real world, knows what it takes to make an actual dollar where I'm not playing a game, I appreciate what I made, but I also realize that every single one of us earns because of the commitment, the dedication, and the price that we pay for our body, that it justifies the compensation that we receive. The money that I make in television pales in comparison to what it is I made as a player. It's more than my wife could go out and make, per se. But again, the market, you are worth what somebody's willing to pay you. And fortunately or unfortunately, the counter argument would be that some professions such as teachers and nurses and doctors and those sort of things that actually do good work aren't compensated as well as sports. But again, it is what it is. Unfortunately, my mother was a nurse, so I know firsthand the dedication that it takes. But it's an interesting issue, but at the end of the day, I'll take what they give me.
Yeah, man, that was a really good question. In a lot of ways, the way I look at NFL and professional sports, a lot like entertainers. And there's a demand, and people really like to watch football games. And so the money's there, and I don't think we should begrudge the players from getting their fair share of it. One thing I would say is we have a pretty complicated system with our collective bargaining agreement. So the issue is, should the money go to the players and the owners? We split it up in the collective bargaining agreement. One of the things we were talking about yesterday that I think is a big improvement, we used to have a system where too much of the money going to players was going to rookies. Rookies that were unproven. We've corrected that in the new collective bargaining agreement. My view is that the money should go to veterans who have proven themselves rather than unproven rookies. Yeah, another question there. Oh, we got a teacher or a coach. Yeah.
Simple. Are we going all the way this year?
All right, here we go. We got to ask, we're going all the way. Alex, what do you think?